I'm Brandie Yates, and joining me is Mark Kieselbach, Meridian Township's Community Planning and Development Director. Mark, you're not a stranger to being interviewed on HOMTV. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You have some exciting news. After 41 years of service, you are retiring for the township. How does that make you feel?
Um, Sad and happy. It was a hard decision after all this time. I may have retired last year at the end of the year if it hadn't been for COVID, because it really impacted the department, and I didn't want to leave the department just hanging there. We lost a few people and other things because of that. But I think the timing is right now to do that.
Okay, so tell me about, 41 years, that's amazing. Congratulations. How did you start your career at Meridian Township?
Well, I had originally, after I got out of college, I had worked 2 years for Ingham County for a special project that they had going on with mapping. And I was part of my college degree, I was in cartography or mapping. And so I got hired at Ingham County. And then when the position came open in the township, I applied for it. And that was one of the things I think that they were really interested at the time and got me hired, is because they were looking at mapping for the township, specifically subdivisions and streets and those kind of things. So that's where I initially started with the township. And, I tell people that when I first started, I would only work maybe 2 years at the township and move on to someplace else, someplace better and progression in my career. But, once I started with the township, and then I got promoted and got involved in other things that it just, never say never, because you never know.
Right.
It's worked out very well for me.
So what other positions did you hold? So you started in mapping. What other titles have you had?
Well, then, in planning, there's assistant planner. One of the things, then there's an associate planner, senior planner, principal planner. Um, I got sort of the career, the way that things worked is I jumped from assistant to senior planner because
Wow.
of some changes in the department. And then from senior planner, in 1995, I was made the department director. Um, so I haven't had to go through every single step in planning to get to be the director.
Well, great. So you've learned a lot over your time of 41 years, I'm
Uh,
sure.
yeah.
A wealth of knowledge in the township. Tell us what stuck out the most? What was the biggest thing you learned from working at the township and in your current role as director?
Uh, and again, that's one of the things. I have went back and uh, spoke to classes in planning and that at MSU, and I also was working with Cooley Law School and going in and talking about land use and planning for the future attorneys. And one of the things that going through college is that you just don't get the training for how to deal with personnel issues, how to deal with budget issues. They don't really teach you the best way to handle someone that's upset or has a problem uh, that you need to take care of. And that's one of the learning things for any planner coming in and starting in a community, is to understand what's going on and how best to help those people. I will say that I had a lot of good people that I could turn to. Some of the department heads that were before me were just fantastic to deal with and showed you how you had to handle situations when they come up. And again, just life learning, being put in front of a planning commission or a zoning board of appeals, and they're asking you questions on projects, really puts that emphasis on how to provide good service.
Okay. And what do you think in your 41 years? What is your greatest accomplishment?
Well, I'm proudest of being the director for a little over 25 years. I think that was a big accomplishment. Understanding the township, I came through when there was lots of controversy about development, whether it was happening too fast, needed to be slowed down, we shouldn't have any development. And it seemed like every time elections came up, you had all new board members, and there was no consistency there. And in truly planning development was at the center of most of these things. Then a lot of them turned out to be controversial. Um, I worked with a lot of different boards and planning commission, all different ideas and philosophies of how the township should be developed. One of the things that I think through mutual respect for me and for those folks that they knew I would try to be fair and consistent. Didn't matter who was in front of the board or the planning commission at the time. And they put that, we had a very staunch board at the time that when I was made the director, and they had the previous director they had asked to leave before me. So I felt very good that they decided not to go outside, but to promote within, and that I had done enough work that they knew who they were going to have as a director.
Oh, great. I'm sure you talked about when you first started and how much has changed. You've seen a lot of different changes, not only in management and staff, but what about just the department in general or development in general in the township? What do you think has changed the most in the township?
Well, certainly commercial development has changed. Again, there's so many projects that were not here when I first came in. Besides the mall and Myers, that was your two big shopping areas. So everything on the east side of Marsh Road and Central Park Drive, you have to remember Central Park Drive wasn't here. Um, all of that development, the additional development along Grand River in that, and all the new subdivisions that were approved, um, both in Hazlet and Okemos.
So a lot of growth that you've seen over the
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Where
And
do
that was always a concern. New growth was an issue in that.
where do you see the township going in the future in terms of development and the community planning department?
Well, I think for us right now, the main items are going to be redevelopment of sites. Many of our sites are older in that when you look at especially the western portion of Grand River towards East Lansing, those are all older facilities there. So redevelopment in that area. Uh, we are getting to the point where the best developable land has already been developed.
Mm.
So we're more marginal land as development comes in. You see more floodplain or wetland issues on the property that is left. So I think it's the redevelopment and making room for new projects. And it's always interesting to see the way things change in that. And again, when I first started, very few drive-throughs. Now everything has to have a drive-through, whether it's a restaurant, dry cleaners, drugstore, everybody wants a
Yes.
drive-through. Um, those, we didn't have, say, condominium developments weren't something that was there. Not very many apartment complexes had been built at the time, but those are all changing, where people have want a different style of housing. They don't want to be a homeowner per se. They'd rather be in a condominium or be in some type of rental. And that's who would think that people are going to build single family homes for rentals as they're doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot has changed, definitely. Um, what advice do you have for the next director of community planning and development, or just anyone in general who's looking? You kind of touched on it earlier, but looking to get into this industry, this field of work.
One of the things I tell my staff here is that we need to be consistent. I want to treat everybody fairly and I want to treat everybody the same. I don't want to say, well, for you, we're going to do this, and for somebody else, something different. So consistency. The second thing is listening. Um, I can't always help somebody, they're upset about something, but the rules that have been established are the rules, and we can work through that process. I may not be able to make them happy, but I've taken the time, I've listened. I feel I try to do the best I can to serve whether it's the citizens here, the business owners, even the developers, to treat everybody as equal and fairly.
Okay. What will be your fondest memory? What will you miss most leaving the township after 41 years, Mark? That's incredible.
Well, I think I certainly the people I work with, and even again I say I'm so fortunate to have the the prior people that I worked with. A lot of the boards and commissions, those folks that are on spent a lot of time uh, on projects and working with them, and it was really something that I'm going to look back as a good memory. Uh, and it seems strange, but planning, and that's one of the things that's not everybody is suited to. We have night meetings,
Yes,
and,
a lot of them.
and we have a lot, and you can be 2 and 3 nights a week at meetings, and then people still expect you to be there again in the morning at 8 and spend your whole day, and then you just came off a 2 or 3 hour night meeting. So a lot of hours. I never got upset or well, I got another meeting. I never did that. I think though that is so important to have these and make them available. Again, get the citizens involved, get whether it's planning commission or township board. There are a lot of issues that people should be aware of, and that's just the nature of being in planning is accommodating those meetings.
Okay. I'm sure everyone wants to know, after 41 years retirement, and we see you on all of the meetings, you mentioned meetings.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What are you looking forward to? What will you be doing?
Well, with as many meetings that I have, I just would like to spend more time at home, of course, with family. But you put off projects. I keep saying, well, I'm going to do that when I retire. So now I'm going to have time to do those projects around the house that I have always said I wanted to do.
Yeah, those tend to pile up after some time, right?
Yeah, they do.
Anything else, Mark, you want to tell us about your career at the township, or any advice you have for anyone coming into your department?
Um, just have patience. For when we have new people who start here on the staff, I tell them 2 years, 3 years, you're going to be learning something new every day. I find stuff new that I didn't know at one time. So it's always a learning experience. Always be ready for change. Change, some people think change is bad, but change is natural. So be prepared, look ahead to the future. Um, that's my advice.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for being here. This is your final interview on Home TV. It was a pleasure getting to interview you again.
Thank you, Brandie.
You're welcome. Congratulations, and you will be greatly missed here in the township. Thank you so much for watching this interview. I'm Brandie Yates. Have a great day.